Good morning, TikTok. Just look how beautiful it is. I'm out here in the heart of downtown Los Angeles, and I just wanted to talk about some of the most thought provoking, amazing revelations of my 45 years of life. I recognized that I have outgrown some very detrimental patterns, and I wanted to share some of those with you. When I was broken and I was recovering from the devastation of the types of realizations I was having in regards to relational dynamics between people that were supposed to be my friends, people who by label are my family, and those that have been around me and had watched and seen me through some of the most vulnerable times in my life, some of the times where they had a lot of say-so because they were very important to those wounds. Well, here are some things that I've noticed about myself. I remember there was a time when I used to entertain energy that didn't quite fit right, but I was so afraid of letting down the other energy at the detriment of myself. I would stick around people that were showing me their whole ass the entire time, but because I felt like at some point they would redeem themselves and they would recognize that their way wasn't the best way and that I was coming from a place of pure intentions, they would somehow see and recognize that they too could also come from a place of pure intentions. Boy, how naive was I when I realized that they realized that they could use my kindness as an end and a means to an end to further exploit me and take it to the best opportunity for them to get their needs met and leave me drained and resentful. And so they say that life really does begin at 40, and I have to agree with that because I've found that my life has really started to make sense as to why all these things were occurring. When I was a young woman, I was only attracted to women that were at least 2 decades older than me. And then when I got into my mid-30s, I recognized a really, really, really crazy, wild sort of full circle moment where younger women who I was once that younger woman were interested in me. And I've never been interested in young women, so it was never going to work. But it was one way to show that the wounds that I once carried, like the missing mother wound that I once had, the lack of security in myself and the lack of self-confidence was being reflected as a whole turnaround where we had switched places. It was like a actualized Freaky Friday moment where I realized I was now that older woman, but I had absolutely no desire to entertain these young girls. And I respect the older women that at the time, I, as my young self, thought I had so much to offer with my lack of wisdom and my lack of everything, wanted to jump in on their bandwagon because they felt secure, they felt confident to me. And some of those older women that even entertained me, those were the ones that were actually a hot mess. And I hate to say that, but it's the absolute truth. And now as I'm looking back on my life, I also recognize some other things. Like I noticed my young self was afraid to set boundaries, and I was giving people limitless access to my time, even strangers on the streets. I would let them talk my ear off and say things and then go too far and get too close into my physical boundaries because I felt bad saying no, because I felt like if I put myself first and I protected myself, because, little old me was taught that it was wrong to have any defenses for myself. But it became draining and my body began to take the blows as my shoulders felt heavy. I remember one year I got so sick at 19 that I lost tons of pounds of weight and I became a size 0. And I sat there, sick, and I'd gone to the hospital with no traces of any actual medical condition. Well, stress and relational toxicity will actually make you very sick. So I had to learn that lesson. And here I am in my 40s, completely single, completely alone in the world. And I actually am enjoying it because for so many years I was told to give my time, my space, my energy, my presence to other people. And so I'm fighting for and enjoying my autonomy. I don't need just anybody in my space. I'm not desperate for connection anymore. I'm not out here performing. I'm out here living the life and moving towards the life that I was actually meant to have. I know that because of all the things that I've been through, I've been exhausted more times than I've known. And so Sometimes I feel bad for having to just rest and like just let my system get into a place where it should have always been. I cut out alcohol, I cut out marijuana, I cut out everything that was never meant to be in my life that was actually clouding my spiritual discernment. And I feel the best that I've ever felt for since I was a child. I feel good. And I feel like sometimes, like, you literally, for me personally, like, I've always been more introverted, but a year of isolation from people, places, and things is all I could ever wish for. And I'm finally getting that. So, it's been a long time coming as I share this with you here on TikTok. Coming into my own. Like, life really does start at 40. It does. And I'm very grateful for it. I am such a better person for it. And I am so blessed. All the glory be to God. And I've already spoiled myself this year. I've never been able to do that. I've always been giving everything to everyone else. Everything. Mama was tired. But, yeah. Happy holidays to y'alls. Look at that beautiful Christmas tree.